Hello. Okay, we are live again for another Unshushed talk. And today we're going to be joined by writer, storyteller, and author of Celebrate the Book, Chani. So we're just going to wait for her to join. Hi. Hello. I can see you. I think you need to request to join. There we go. Hey!
How are
How are
you?
you? I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good.
God, I feel like it's been, what, it's been 2 years ago
Yeah,
since we met.
2 years.
But I don't even know where that time has gone. Like, that shoot feels like, it does feel like a while ago, to be fair, but at the
Mm.
same time, it's like, oh, it's not that long ago. But yeah, how have
2 years
you
is not a
been?
long time.
Yeah, no, I feel like I also feel like we've still been kind of like connecting and just catching up, seeing what you're up to. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I feel like with things like Instagram, it never feels like that much time has gone past because you're always
yeah,
kind of in contact, I guess.
exactly. But yeah, I guess when we were doing that shoot, we were it was kind of just like an inspirational shoot, like to get a vibe for what Shushbox was. And then you obviously joined and did some
Mm.
interviews, and you mentioned that you were going to have a book that was coming out, which is
Yes,
now out.
which I do. Just some
I
light product placement.
Yeah, so yeah, I thought we could start. Obviously, I've just given you a little intro, but I don't know if you want to give yourself an intro, or I can re-intro you.
Yeah, I think I missed that. I'm just going to turn my volume up a little
Yeah,
bit.
I was just saying you're a writer, storyteller, author of Celebrate the Book, and yeah,
Mhm.
general cool chick.
Thanks. I hope so.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's spot on, really. Yeah, I'm a writer. That's it.
yeah, that's it. And Celebrate the Book then. But tell us the. I know there's obviously quite a personal story in there, and yeah, maybe we could start with the great book.
Yeah, so Celebrate, this is like my first little tiny child. So it's just like a collection of poetry, some journal entries, like it has sort of collage painting. It's kind of like a mixture of everything that I do really, just as like a general artist or whatever. And I mean, it says on the back that it's a recounting of a transition from sexual trauma to liberation, and
Yeah,
it explores the many ways that sex can complicate and destroy and improve your life.
yeah,
So, I mean, I'm like a survivor of child abuse, of adult sexual abuse, but the big thing that triggered this book, I had an abortion that was like really, really traumatic. And I was just sort of like journaling through that and writing through that. And I just didn't really see anything when I looked online that I could relate to when I was trying to see people that were going through the same thing as me.
yeah.
And then I thought, okay, I'm just going to publish all of this stuff that I've done because I think it needs to kind of be out there.
Mm.
And then when it got to the actual process of doing it, it seemed so daunting. I was like, oh my God, like I need to write this whole thing. I started looking through my old notebooks and journals and I was like, I've been writing this my whole life.
I was going
So
to
I
say,
just sort of, yeah.
was it a new thing writing, or was it, like you said, something you'd already been doing?
No, I've always been writing.
Yeah.
Since I could write, I've been writing. And I'm sure before that I was trying to write something. I don't know what it said. I was writing. Um,
It's so
but
cool
yeah,
that you found a way to, obviously, what you've been through and everything, to like express your feelings and emotions. I feel, obviously, with what you've been through, it's quite difficult to express that. So having a portal to release that kind of energy is good.
yeah, definitely. And I think through that, like obviously I made like the second Instagram page with just all of my work. And through that there's certain like people that follow the page that I know we interact a lot, and then every now and then I'll put like questions on the profile and people actually sort of share their experiences like
Yeah.
in the DMs. I feel like the most like fun like popping part of that Instagram is just all happening behind the scenes, all the conversations that I'm having with other people
Yeah.
all the time. And it's just really good to be able to kind of start a community around something like this. So now I'm like sort of midway through writing my next project, which is going to be like a much longer, much more in-depth project about a few more varied topics than just like trauma.
Yeah. No, and I think going back to your point on the Celebrate the Book account, having that, it's so amazing, by the way, what you're doing. And I think it's so inspiring. Like, I know I'm always like slide DMs, like, I love
Thanks.
you. But I just think it is like so inspirational. And it's such a tough thing for people to talk about. And finding other women and finding other people that have been through similar experiences, that I think it just really helps and makes people feel like they're not alone. So I think, yeah, obviously, congratulations and thank you
Thank
for
you.
like putting that into the world,
That
because
is like the only aim, really. It's
yeah,
just like,
and I know it takes strength to do that as well. So
mm,
well
thank
done,
you.
and
Yeah,
thank
it's an ongoing struggle. Like,
yeah,
I feel like the mistake people make with this project is they think that I'm saying like, hi, this is how you heal. Like, I'm perfect now. But it's like, no, I feel like there's certain things that I definitely can say that I've healed from, but things
yeah.
that I'm still in therapy for.
It's
And
authentic
then,
though. It comes across as
yeah.
like you've been through it, so and you're still going through it. So I think it's just
Mm,
having that like real, really having someone who's open about what they're going through, what they've been through, and like you say, you're still. It's not a
yeah.
healing. It's not linear, is it? It's like woo.
Yeah. And I feel like even when you have healed from something, like what do they say? Like a healed wound is a scar. So it's like you're never gonna like forget about it just because you're
Yeah.
like functioning. So
Mm.
there's things that I feel like I've healed from and they're just scars now, and then there's things that are like, oh, we're still
Yeah.
working on. But
And it's you put in the work. Like there's a lot that I can relate to in the things that you've been sharing, and I feel, yeah, it is like you put that work in, don't you? And it is
yeah.
like continuous. It's a dedication to yourself to be better and feel
Hmm.
better, and yeah, just
It's
live.
like a second job. Like
Yeah.
seriously. Like
But then
it's like having another
when you
full-time
start to
job.
see the growth, it's like, oh my god, like a butterfly coming out the other side.
Yeah.
Oh no, yeah, it's great. I think what you're doing. So yeah, the next book then. When what's the plans with that one?
I try not to make plans
Okay, okay,
because I feel like, as we've seen with lockdown, like you make plans and then
true.
bookmarks, right? So, at the start, I wasn't going to do a poetry book this time. I was going to just do like a straight up writing,
Yeah,
and then I changed my mind because that's what creative people do. So I feel like I wrote that whole book, and that was like, I don't know, like 40,000 words or something. And then I was like, I just don't want to tell it like this. So then I started to put poems in it. And then I was like, I think I just prefer doing everything through poetry. That is like my main
yeah,
like thing. So now I'm just going through what I already wrote and just rewriting it in different poems. So it's coming together. I'm really excited about it because one thing I feel like I kind of broke through with Celebrate, but not quite. It's like I feel like with poetry, people really have like a tendency to be really vague because you can write something very vague and it makes it sound really good, but also you're not really saying anything. So with Celebrate, I tried to stop being vague. But when I look back at it, I still feel like I'm kind of holding back a bit. So this time I'm just trying to make it much more transparent. But not just talk about like bad things. There are some positive parts in Celebrate, of course. Like there are some poems like Full Joy and like All Heaven that are more uplifting, but this one is a much more well-rounded
yeah.
show of like where I am right now.
I was going to say like a reflection of where you are at that point in your life. To celebrate
Yeah.
that time as kind of what you needed to get out. So
Hmm. So in this one, I do go more in depth on things that we were talking about in Celebrate, of course, because a lot of them are
yeah,
just part of my life. But then I also talk about things like absent parents. I talk about race in this one, which I haven't really done before in my work, I guess. I posted a couple of the poems. I posted two of the poems I've done on race already. I think one was a reading on my page and one was like just a graphic, and they
yeah,
were quite well received, which was like good because I wasn't sure how it was going to be received. Because I think I've got like a bit of a different look on things
yeah,
because I'm mixed. My white parent is kind of like a full-on cultural appropriator and kind of what I perceive to be racist.
okay,
So yeah, I write a lot about that perspective.
yeah,
It covers a lot. It covers a lot in that book, but I just really wanted to sort of like pad out everything and Celebrate and show how it actually got to that point.
yeah. No, it sounds like, yeah, like you say, now, at the point you're at now, you can look back at celebrating, like, okay, how can I take that to the next expression
Yeah,
I want to get
because I
to?
feel like with Celebrate, it's a much shorter project, and I
Yeah,
feel like it had like a sense of urgency in it because I was like, I'm one of those people where I get an idea, I want to do it on the same day, or I just get really agitated. Like, I don't like, I'm learning patience at the moment. That's what I'm focusing on. But I just like things to be done. That's why I often do things by myself because I hate waiting for other people to do stuff. It's like, I think a lot of creative people are like that. You probably got the same with your platform.
Mm.
You know, welcoming collaborators, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, I feel like I did that project because I was like, if I'm going to say I'm going to do something, if I put out this short project, I have to follow through and do everything else I said I was going to do. So
Mm.
that one was like, I just compiled everything, wrote some new stuff, edited it all, like did all of the visuals. I was painting as part of my healing process anyway.
Mm.
And I just sort of like put it all together and released it and just saw what happened. But I thought once that is out in the world,
Yeah.
well, I could just stop, but I probably am going to have to do all the things I said I was going to do if I do that. So that was more like a urgent project that I just had to do. This one I'm kind of taking my time with it a bit more. I'm
Yeah.
aiming, I know I said I don't plan, but in my head I'm kind of aiming for like spring, summer. It should be out, but if I don't put it out by then, I've never said
Yeah,
that.
like you said, the world is just woof at the moment. So anything
Exactly. But yeah.
control there, I guess. Of I don't know. For me, anyway, like I don't know how it works with like do you get like writers? How do you overcome like writer's block? Do you get it? Or
Oh my gosh, I get such like writer's block. Not even writer's block. I know what I want to write, but if I'm not in the mood, I just can't write it.
yeah,
So I'll have some days where I wake up with like a feeling like I want to write, and I'll just stay in bed and just write everything. Like if I think of a good sentence, I'll write it on my phone. So it's like, okay, I can go back to that when I'm in the mood.
yeah.
But I was actually teaching poetry workshops like for free on Zoom throughout lockdown, and the main aim of that was exercises to get people through writer's block.
Yeah, I saw.
So yeah, so we were doing things like just how to organize your ideas, how to store
Yeah.
your ideas, and just things to like get your brain going. So I don't really feel like I ever get a block per se. It's just that I'm just not in the mood, and I feel like a lot of people in this like our generation, we really force ourselves to produce. I don't force myself to do anything.
A lot of pressure though sometimes, isn't
It
there?
is
Like, I
pressure.
need to get it out. I need to be
Yeah.
seen doing something. And
And we're so fast paced, but my
yeah,
new thing, well, the last couple of years, I just don't pressure myself to do anything. I don't force myself to do anything other than like go to my job to like pay my bills or whatever. Other than that, like I just go on my own pace. And I think it's one thing, I've got a poem about this in the book as well. I'm not afraid of aging at all. So I don't feel like I have to be this successful by this age. I think I'll peak when I'm like 73, so I'm cool. And I think once you stop pressuring yourself to produce, the writer's block thing doesn't feel so bad because what deadline are you on, really? And of
yeah,
course, if you're writing for somebody else, you have a deadline. But if you're writing for your own project, you haven't really got deadlines like that unless you're with like an agent that's like forcing you to do something.
yeah.
So while I'm not in that position, I'm just like, I'm just going to write on the days I feel like writing, on the days that I don't. Hopefully, I'll think of a nice word I can write down on my notes.
Yeah, and then get when you come back to it, like when it's like, oh,
Yeah,
no,
because in the workshops I was getting people to like I have a theme each week and I get them to write like long lists of words, like word association kind of things, and then they progress it to like write a couple of sentences. Because I say you save all those pieces of paper on the days you think you have a block, you can go through your notebooks. You've got like 300 words and
yeah,
like 200 sentences that you've written, and then it's like okay, just pick one and mix it all together. So like because of things like that, I never really get the block. So.
no, I think it's good to have these. Be kind to yourself, I guess. Like put less pressure.
Yeah. The world is stressful enough about us stressing ourselves out, right?
Yeah, and I love your poetry, like your live poetry readings. I think, yeah, it's because you did a paper for us, didn't you, for
Yeah.
Station May? So that was amazing, and I love the wet ass poetry.
Thank you.
What is
Because
it?
I was just like, you know, when something happens in like the news or something, and it's so like such a small thing, but it's just like in the back of your head. And like, I mean, I work in salons, so it's a lot of like girl talk constantly.
Yeah,
And some of it, even the women at my work were just talking about how they think it's disgusting, and I was like, for goodness sake. So then I woke up one day, I was like, no, I've got to write a poem about this. I just wrote it in like 10 minutes and then just
I
wrote
feel
and
like you
recorded it.
the words so good. What was it? Maybe it's not wet ass pussy you're afraid of. Maybe it's woke ass pussy.
Yeah, maybe it's because we know we have one. Like that's
I
what
was
they're
like,
angry about.
I was like going around my house, like, yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. So what are the plans then with the workshops? Are you planning to do like you did it in real life?
Yeah, so we did it in real life one like last month, end of last month. But obviously, because of distancing, like we couldn't have a very big group.
Yeah.
But I kind of like these things to be intimate anyway, so it kind of I think some events would be really hindered by having small numbers, but this actually kind of works maybe even better. But yeah, so we just did an in-person one. I've got another in-person one coming the end of September. I'm just finalizing the date, but it's with like, it's quite a big venue, so it's going to be really
Wow.
exciting. Of course, it's a big venue, but we still got to have small numbers. I think there's
Yeah.
capacity now is 15 because of COVID.
Okay.
But when I'm allowed to say
I don't
where it is, it's
know
going
if
to be
I'm
so
going
cool.
outside to things at the moment. I'm like,
Yeah. Same. But then
yeah,
I kept getting messages like when I put a poll kind of thing, like, do you want me to do in person ones?
yeah,
And then people were like, yeah. And then finding a day that all the people that came to the online ones can all do it at the same time is like
yeah.
the nightmare of my life. So I'm like, okay, but we're just going to do it on this day, and whoever can make it can make it. But yeah, so we've got, yeah, that's a small one at the end of September. So I'll post that soon when I've got the exact date confirmed, because we had to move it around for something. But then after that, yeah, I'm hoping to keep them monthly, and
Yeah.
obviously as we get more back to normal, I can do them on a bigger scale. But for
Mm.
now, it's just our little groups here and there. So
It's nice though to have like the different places to find you, basically. Like
yeah,
celebrate the book account, buy the books. You've got your workshops, doing talks like this. Just getting out,
yeah.
sharing your energy and like your story, your creative talents. Yeah, like when people are doing when they come to the workshops, is their poetry like is most of your poetry like based on real life experiences or
For me, yeah, I just find it easier. But then it's funny, like, so for the workshops, I'll give like examples for like, okay, if there's an exercise, let's say write this and then do this or whatever. I'll
yeah.
write like an example on the board, and I always try to write something like really mundane that everyone will just relate to. So it's like, I like the seawater. But yeah, for me,
I'd relate to
yeah, like it's just. But I mean, the difference with the online and real life ones, I feel like online, I give people the option to share their work like in the chat function,
yeah.
and I feel like everyone shares because it's so like you're just typing. It's like you don't have to read anything. And then on the real life ones, I'm like, should anyone want to read? Everyone's silent. I'm like, do you want me to read something for you? No, okay. So yeah, it's like a no pressure space. But I feel like that is one thing that I miss when it's online. People are so much more confident to like share their work. Because one thing that I've realized since I started doing the workshops was like, I don't just want to write and then just give people my work and like they can relate to it. That's amazing. But I actually want to teach people how to use writing as a tool to help themselves, because it's like that's the thing that's kept me sane ish
Yeah.
throughout all of this. So it's like it's one thing for me to write something you can relate to, like that helps everybody, right? If I can relate to something, you can relate to something. But if I can actually say, here's like maybe you've never written in your life, but here's some easy exercises or like a journal prompts that you can use, and maybe on the day that you're having like a horrible emotional day, you can try it, and maybe you're going to feel like a weight's lifted. That's more valuable to me than you just reading my work. So
Yeah.
that's why I wanted to do the workshops as well as put the books out, because
Well, it's allowing them to kind of, like people to kind of get the experience that you're getting through
yeah,
writing, right? Having that whole healing process. Like, I not so much now, but like yeah, I went through a phase of like doing loads of journaling. Like
yeah,
anytime I just had like loads of thoughts or just things on my mind, it's just really
mm-hmm.
helped actually just writing it all down. And yeah, even if I didn't look back at it, it was like, oh, that was that. It's like like a
But
relief.
sometimes you think you surprise yourself. You start writing, you're like, I didn't even know that I thought this, but
Yeah,
it's just
I mean,
yeah. So
I'm not very. I know poems don't need to rhyme.
mm,
Not all poetry needs to rhyme, right? Like
mm-hmm.
that's probably really silly to say. But I've even written some. Yeah, when I was looking back a few weeks ago, I was like, where did this come from? It's
I
like
love it.
when you're in that zone, then as well of your feelings, when you are like expressing. I think with writing, you can go there. It's like, oh my
Yeah,
god, I really went into something that I was feeling at that moment. Then,
mm-hmm. I think everyone can write.
yeah,
Like everyone can write, and people say, "Oh, I can't write." I don't know, you can, as long as you've got some feelings in there. Once you learn how to put your feelings out, you can write anything. And like you were saying, you don't journal all the time.
yeah.
I don't journal all the time. I feel like sometimes I give the impression that I write like every day. When I go through my journal, sometimes there's like 7 month gap, and then it's like back. But you just use it when you need it. It's a tool. It's not like breathing that you have to do it, but it's like something you can put in your utility belt and just bring it out when you need it.
I think going back to like the emotion side of it, like for me anyway, like I used to struggle actually like expressing my emotions, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I still actually do like saying how I actually feel.
Yeah.
And I feel like writing, obviously, because it is personal to yourself, it's you can actually write what you're feeling. So for anybody who's like struggling expressing verbally, what they're feeling or how, yeah, their emotions. Writing can be like a good starting point to write and
Definitely.
to share it with anyone. It's like, oh, this is how I feel, you know,
Definitely.
good for that. Um,
Yeah, what we do in the workshops, like the last normally like 15 minutes, I just let everyone go off the theme completely. And I say, just write, but don't even think about what you're writing. Just
yeah.
just let your pen like control your brain kind of thing. And
Mm,
people are always a bit like, oh, I don't really get. I'm like, just. And by the end of it, they're all like, oh my God, they've written like 3 pages. And they're just like, wow, I didn't know I was going to write that. And I think you can do that like before you sleep, and it makes you sleep better if you just get all
yeah.
your thoughts out. Because I think what you're saying is so hard to say how you feel sometimes. I think sometimes we get so frustrated, like you like
Yeah.
stifle your own thought process that you don't even know how you feel. You're just so. But then once you start writing, you just sort of start decoding your thought. I don't know. It's just magic. Yeah, it's actually magic. That's what I think.
And I feel like it starts to break down, like for me anyway. I mean, oh, I'm actually talking about my writing experience. I'm like, actually, I do
No,
journal.
but it's good. I love when people write.
It does that actually break down like like your layers of, I don't know, like how you act in the world. It's like you could be acting in one way, but then actually when you start to write or you go deeper into your feelings, it's like actually I wasn't feeling that. I was feeling this way.
Yeah,
Writing can help you like come to that conclusion of,
definitely.
"See, that's not how I felt."
Yeah, yeah. That's what I say. You shock yourself. I
Yeah.
remember I had one workshop and one of the girls was like, oh, she's afterwards she put like a review thing and she was like, when we did the release writing, that's what we call it, the release writing section, she was like, I was in such a bad mood that day and I thought I knew exactly what I was going to write about, and then when I looked back at it, I didn't know that's why I was upset. Like so many different things came out and I was like, I couldn't actually believe it worked. I was like, yeah, it's just one of those things because we take in a lot of like news every day. We have like Instagram, all of this. You're just taking stuff in
Yeah.
all the time. It's no wonder your feelings end up like getting lower and lower and lower under so much other information. So when you crack it out, it's like no wonder you're gonna realize that you didn't feel how you thought you felt and this and that. It's cheaper than therapy also. I'm still go to therapy if you can, but
Therapy
like
is great. I mean, like I'm a total like advocate for therapy. Like I feel that is a good place to. I don't know. Obviously, there's different types of therapy, but like I've had therapy before, the like talking therapy, and I feel
yeah,
like obviously like I remember just getting to the first session and being like,
yeah. Because I'm doing that now. I've done it for like a long time, but
yeah,
I feel like, and that's another thing when I was saying I wanted people to have the tools to like sort of do some of this stuff for themselves, because sometimes if you're trying to go via like the doctor or different routes or even like on waiting lists, you can take the steps to get therapy, but you can be waiting a long time sometimes. Like even if you want to go private, they've got wait lists, you know. So it's like, what do you do in the meantime rather than just get left hanging? Like I want people to have some tools when they don't have any other option, because at the end of the day most people have got a paper and pen in the house. Do you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like
No, you're so right. It's like it can take even if you decide to take that step to like go into therapy and exploring that, like having something in the interim or just having something that's you can just do like from home, you know.
yeah, because it's not instant, you know, like it's, and in a lot of times it's a lot slower than it should be, right? So
Yeah, yeah. Writing, pro writing.
definitely all day every day.
So how can people get involved with like the next workshops and stuff?
So usually I just post like the event dates and
Mhm.
details on, I post it on this profile, but I also post it on my other profile, which is at Celebrate the Book. And then you just sign up through, pardon me, my hiccups. You sign up through Eventbrite usually, and then I'll just, well, if it's the online one, I'll just send you the link. If it's not the online one, then you just turn up. But yeah, all the details, I'll just share them on my platforms.
And is there like different themes? So you were saying, I guess there's like a certain structure, and there's a part that you said was called release in the work.
Yeah.
What type of structure? I don't want to give it all away. Obviously, we want to keep some of
That's
it.
okay.
But
No, so yeah, I try to have a theme each time, just because I open up to all levels. So some people like they want to come, but then they're intimidated to just start writing. So I feel like if there's like a general theme in the room, people can like share ideas, and it makes it a bit easier. But then I always like if there's a exercise I think is like particularly like feeling based, then I'll say to people, like, if you want to go off the theme, you can go off the theme.
Oh,
the theme, and they can carry on the theme. But yeah, I try not to be too strict. Like the theme is just there for like examples and like bonding. But
yeah. And
yeah.
it's like you say, people might just go off when they hit the pen to the paper,
Mm-hmm.
go off on whatever comes to them in that moment as
Yeah,
well.
exactly.
Yeah, no, I think poetry, like writing, and it's just expressing yourself, isn't it? Like it's so
Mm-hmm.
effective communication. Just
That's it.
communication is so like um, hard to get what you actually mean across sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, and I feel like there's like a resurgence of like I'm seeing a lot more younger people like posting like their writing now. I feel like for a while people just thought like poetry was like you just read these like classical books from like some posh school or something, or like they're all like ancient like
Yeah.
I don't know whoever. But I feel like now there's a lot more younger people getting into poetry. I'm seeing like a couple of singers are like releasing poetry books now. I think it's like a really positive thing.
Yeah, it's just another tool, isn't it? Like you say, for when you are having those days and you haven't got the you haven't got anybody else. It's something that you can manage yourself at home.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Definitely.
get to it. So I know we were saying before that you might do live reading.
Yeah, I
Is
can
that
do.
is that
Yeah, I
something?
can do a reading. I was just winding you up before. I was like, no one told me about this reading. It's because every time I do one of these things, people just say that I'm going to do a reading. I'm like, am I? But I think I should expect it because I write poems. So yeah.
I mean, if not, I can
No,
read
no,
one.
no, no, no. I've got one. I got one already because I posted a post earlier on the topic of poem because I've been writing about that recently, and I thought, okay, no, I can read that one. So, but I've never read it before, so if the rhythm goes a bit funny, that is not my problem. Um, but this is one from my new book, and it's called "I Have No Idea What Home Is."
Mhm.
Okay. I like things that feel like home. I have no idea what home is, but I love people around a table. I love writing to the sound of sleeping breaths and throwing my heart's colours into a pan of hot oil. I measure my capabilities by the progress of a flower bed. I have never been home, but my senses can identify it. As cars pass by my window, blasting music from every continent, I feel it on every plane I've ever ridden, wondering is it a simulation of the sweet return to heaven or the safe landing on ancestral sands where my colours, oh, my phone went off, where the colours of the building match the colours in my pan.
I love it.
That was a poem about home. Because I feel like for a lot of people, like I don't know many people that grew up in just like a very normal TV home. So it's like
Yeah.
you see this idea of home. I don't really know what home is when I think about it in those terms. Like I've never been home before. But
Yeah.
then you do certain things and it's like, okay, how have I carved that out for myself? Like I can feel that feels like home for me. So that's what I've been sort of doing the last year is like collecting the things that I think feel like home.
Yeah.
So I just thought I'd write about that.
No, I think it's such a nice, like, again, another relatable topic that people might not necessarily talk about so openly. But like you say, so many people have grown up in where it's not that home that you think that you see on TV
Yeah,
where parents are married and everything's like hunky dory throughout.
exactly.
There's a lot of people who like struggle with. It can be quite triggering actually to think
Mm-hmm.
about what is home. Like, was that
Yeah,
experience, or does it bring up like emotions from like childhood traumas, or yeah. So having
yeah.
exploring that through your writing is again another great topic to get to.
Yeah, no, we were doing like I talk about you can identify it in like other ways. And that was something that we did in one of our workshops recently. The live one was like I was trying to get people to think about like their goals and what they want for themselves and like their sort of highest ambitions. And then I was like, okay, like write a few sentences about it and then circle all the words that are feelings. And I was like, you're not actually looking for this job, you're looking for these feelings. And I was like, okay, now take these feelings, how can you achieve them in your everyday life, just doing small things, because that's what you actually want. So people will kind of like I was like, okay. And it's the same with like the home feeling. It's like, okay, maybe I don't really know where home is, but I know that I feel at home when I have large groups of people around. And I like to cook for
Yeah,
people and I'm that kind of nurturing person. So it's different for everybody. But I feel like That's where I'm at. Lockdown has put a lot of things in my head because, for instance, when we were trapped in the house, you can't go anywhere. But
Yeah.
I was walking up and down my bathtub saying that I was on the beach, and you couldn't tell me that I wasn't because I felt like I was. It's the feeling.
Like, what is it? Manifesting or just, yeah, just.
No, but it's just simplifying because
Yeah.
I don't need to go anywhere to feel like I'm somewhere. You know, I don't need to like have $1 million in the bank to feel wealthy.
Yeah.
What does wealth feel like? Secure. You know, it's these feelings. How can you do things that make you feel secure in your day-to-day life? Small things, you know. So that's where I'm at. Simplifying and just searching for the feelings and not the objects.
That's it, the feelings. Like when I looked at your post from home earlier, I was like, God, what does that make me feel? I was thinking,
yeah,
you know, home to me now feels like myself, basically.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So I feel like I am my home.
That's the goal.
It's strange because I moved away out of the UK for like a couple of years and like lived in Croatia actually. And when I went there, before I went, I was like, oh, I'm so scared. But then when I got there, I was like, oh, it's not that scary because I'm still me. Like
Exactly.
I still feel like me. I still feel home within myself.
Yeah, so, and if you're the home, that's like a mobile home, so you can just go wherever you're going. Like it doesn't need to.
Exactly, it comes from within, isn't it? The place, and again, it's so different for everybody else.
Yeah.
Like it might be groups of people, that home feeling. It could be having nice cooking, or you've got some cooking skills, which I do not have.
I love to cook. You know that I'm crazy about it. I think I drive people mad. Anytime I can do a spread, I'll find the excuse.
Oh, I don't know, I've got like a bit of a fear of cooking for other people. Like I feel like my cooking is just about okay for myself.
I'm sure you're good. I'm like a monster. I'm one of those people that's like, you have to try this and say it's the best thing you've ever eaten in your life. I always say I want to do a recipe book, but I'm like, how will I transition that? Like in a branding sense. But then I'm like, I don't care. Let me just make a recipe book. I always say I want to do a cookbook and a kids book.
Wow, you're putting it out in
one day. I will just do it. But I feel like to have a cookbook, you need to be like older. Like you need to have tested them recipes for like maybe like 3 decades at least.
But maybe it could be like in on it though, you know, like it could be like the opposite of that. So it's like, oh,
no, I want to be like 60 and I'll be like tried and tested. Yeah. So I've already started writing things down and I'll see if they last the test of time, my recipes, and then I can put them out there.
So I guess with your cooking, I saw we can go on to relationships. Jordan.
I think he's watching in the other room. He's like, keep my name out your mouth.
Okay. You guys are so cute. I was literally like watching before we got on the call. I was like, it's just one of those, you know, those like relationships that you look at and you just like start smiling when you guys talking to. I mean, I'm very single at the moment, but it's not to take anything away from the relationship. I was just like, it's just so nice. Like you just this like open communicate. Oh, there's Jordan. Hey.
Hi, Jordan.
Hi there. I just feel like you guys have got this really nice open communication, and I think
no, we do actually. We do. Communication is something that we've worked on from like the start. Like I'm a communicator. Maybe you can tell. So like I need to communicate everything, but I will say everything you said is true.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take it because I have had some fucking shit relationships.
There you go. Now, Jordan has come in.
Jordan, yeah, no, it's cool. Like we met. I always think he met me at the right time because it could have gone very different when I was crazy when I was younger, you know. But then you said you're single. I actually really like being single as well. Like, sorry, Jordan. Not now. But no, I was talking to my friend the other day because she's like dating really well. She's like dating how I think people should date. And I was saying, I so good to see someone. She's just like not putting pressure on herself. She's actually enjoying herself. But also she knows what she wants. So she's like being quite open from the start. Like, this is the kind of relationship that I want. If that's not the relationship it's going to be, then like maybe we can sleep together if you're cool. But like you just know that this is what I want and it's that or nothing kind of thing. Yeah. And she's like not limiting herself, not putting her eggs in one basket. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's so refreshing to see somebody date like that. Yeah. Like with purpose, but not with like deadlines. And I was like, people miss the joy of being single when they don't like utilize it. So I feel like the last time I was single, I was doing that, and then it worked out well in the end because I met Jordan. But like the previous times when I was single, I was just like, I need some, and then just ending up in a relationship with any person that found me, like as soon as it, like straight away, and then dating mad people.
But it's like when I was reading, watching that video actually, and from what you were saying, and when you did the takeover, it's like you've also put in the work on yourself, right? So those
Yeah.
type of relationships that you were attracting before, which I can totally relate to. I attract toxic, or you're in a different place then. So the relationships that you attract are a reflection of how you're acting, how you're feeling, and kind of the vibe that you're giving off. I feel anyway. For me, it was God. Like, I've also had some very crazy relationships.
Yeah.
But at a point where it's like, okay, I've put in the work on myself, and it's like I'm not looking. You know, unless you put in that work, you can go on the apps and you can meet people, but unless you actually do that work, they just boomerang back out. Like, you can meet this person, like, bye.
It's so true.
It'll be the same experience.
It's so true. I mean, what was I going to add to that? Something. My mind just gone blank. What the hell was I just going to say?
I keep getting this.
You were talking about like the people you attract. Yeah, I feel like when I look back, a lot of the people I used to date were just like, it was a lot of trauma bonding, which is not a good thing. But I think, no, actually, I'm not even gonna say it wasn't a good thing. Like, I feel like sometimes, at the time, it was what I needed, even if it was really bad.
Yeah.
Like, it was just someone to relate to, and it all worked out badly. But now I know that it was trauma bonding, I would not do it again, kind of thing. But then I also feel like I used to be in this headspace where, because my upbringing was so crazy, and then I was like not really in a good place, I didn't really feel like I could judge people. So I will meet people that were literally like people you just should never date.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, oh, but who am I to judge? Oh, like, well, he might be like a drug addict, but like, how can I judge people because I've done this? So like, I'll always make excuses for people. And I mean, yeah, I'm still not judgmental, but just because I'm not going to judge someone doesn't mean I need to be in a relationship with them. You know, I can still like not judge, but not get involved. But at that time, I just thought that I wasn't worth anything more than anybody else. Like, I put myself so low down because of just who I was and where I came from. Yeah, I just couldn't bring it in me to be like, I deserve better than this. I just didn't think that I did. Whereas now I'm like, no, I think I've got myself together a little bit. I'm allowed to like have standards. Like, and that's not to say these people weren't nice, but it was just like, you're putting me in dangerous positions, so I need to protect myself a little bit. I shouldn't be like, oh, some of the stories I have. I mean, can I say this without incriminating anyone? No, no one's gonna know who it is. Okay, no, fuck it. We're on live. Like, I remember I've had incidences where like I've been on dates, like first dates, and I ended up in the back of a van while they were shooting up, and I carried on seeing these people because I was like, oh, but you know, like people have hardships, and it's like I was 18. This person was like a grown up, like 15 years older than me, you know, and I was just like, that's not a situation a teenager should be in. But I just couldn't read red flags because my self-worth was just so low down.
It was how you were feeling about yourself as well. And like, now you know, like, what you're worth, basically.
Yeah, but at that time it's so crazy to look back because I was like doing burlesque, so I was like dancing.
Okay.
I thought I was the most confident person in the world. I was like doing men's magazines, like with my tiny breasts that I had then. Like, somehow it worked. I was doing like Bizarre magazine, like Front magazine, all this shit. So people would think I was so confident, and I felt like I was so confident. I never felt like I was faking it. I felt like I was that bitch. But then looking back, I'm like, oh, you were just masking some stuff. You were just lying to yourself. Like, it was all fake. It was just a persona.
It was like you crafted this vixen persona to almost cover up of what you were actually feeling. Because I did something very similar. It's like, you know, you come across as like this confident, like, I don't give a woo.
But you start to believe it, so it works. And this is the thing. Like, sorry to cut you off, but all of those things, like, I don't look down on it, and I see. What I say to people is like, if you're in that place that I'm talking about in the book, it's not like shade to you or saying you're doing something wrong, because what I find with a lot of wellness stuff and a lot of mental health stuff on the internet is it makes you feel like your coping mechanisms, that you're doing the wrong thing. And even if you are, I look back and I'm like, I was protecting myself. You know, I was like, some places I don't have places to live sometimes. You know, I was in these situations where it's like I had to act like that. So I don't want to tell people, don't do that, you're wrong, when it's like, that's survival for some people. It's just, you need to be aware of it so you can slowly take steps in the right direction. But at the time, you do what you have to do. And I feel like that's what I want Celebrate to be like as a platform. I don't want it to be like this sort of like, oh, we're all up here, like, come on, climb up the stairs. Like, people go through some shit, and I feel like not to downplay people's hardships, because everybody goes through different things, but I feel like a lot of these like accounts are run by people that maybe they've been through their own traumas, which are still valid, but they haven't seen how low it can get for other people. So it's like you can't speak for people. So I don't want anyone to ever feel like they're doing wellness wrong. Like, maybe you're gonna have some bad habits and you just, I don't know, do one good thing for yourself in 2 weeks, but you will get there. I don't want to pressure people.
Yeah.
You speed up someone's healing, it's going to become even worse. That's what I think.
I was going to say, it's all part of the individual's journey, right?
Does that make sense, what I just said? I feel like I was just talking for ages. Okay, good.
I think, what you're saying is basically it depends on where someone is in their journey. Just because you're at a different point in your journey doesn't mean you're looking at the other person like, oh, why are you in that place? Because that's basically.
So it's like, I want to write stuff that people can relate to, because when I was in those situations, there was nothing I could relate to, because they were so like specific. I felt like, but I talk to people that I meet and they're like, yeah, that happened to me, but no one talks about it. So I just want to give people something to relate to, teach them how to write a little bit, and maybe that's going to spur something in somebody, but I'm not going to tell you how to heal.
Yeah, it's such a personal thing though, healing, isn't it? And I think writing, like you say, going back to the workshops and there's just, that can be the starting point, you know, when you just, even just, you know, the feelings that you don't express verbally, if you start getting into it, getting into your emotions, getting into your feelings, that could be like a starting point of something like a longer journey, or just a creative. People don't, it doesn't need to even be a trauma thing, the poetry, it can just be a creative place too.
Definitely. I think everyone can benefit from it. And when I was saying like some people haven't seen the lowest of the low, it's not to say that people's problems aren't valid. So I feel like if you're holding a 10 in this hand and someone else is holding a 7, it doesn't mean that like 7 suddenly means less because someone's got 10. It's just different, right? But yeah, I just feel like, I think where I've been in some weird positions, I would never want to like make someone feel worse. Like,
no,
it's just like a nudge in the right direction. Like, maybe if you're 16 years old and like 21-year-olds are pursuing you, maybe you shouldn't go with them. Like, maybe if you're 18 and 35-year-old men are messaging you, maybe don't do that, you know?
Yeah.
I could just say what I've been through. I'm not a professional, like a licensed psychiatrist.
People are relate to what you're saying because you're being so open with your own experiences, and like you say, you're not coming as in to be like the authority of like wellness, like you should do it this way. It's just like, hey, this is what I've been through, like I don't know what you're going through, but this is me, and if this helps in any way, or if you can relate to any part of what I'm saying, then that's what it is, isn't it?
And I think that's like sort of the way to just using the internet is like a cool thing, because that's how we build communities, right? And I think they say like it takes a village when it's talking about like raising kids, but I feel like I kind of see everyone as children, so I'm like, I think the village thing should never really stop. Like, we all have something to offer each other. And I feel like as well, like when I was saying I'm not a professional, and what you're saying, we're just trying to share things. Like, I can't remember what the thing I was reading was called, but there was this like article I was looking at that says like every single person has like a place in society. Like, there's different sort of archetypes of people. And I think up until that point, like recently, people were always making out to me that I was like the healer archetype. And I kind of went with it, but I didn't really like, I don't know. But then I was reading about it and I was like, no, I'm actually the storyteller. And I feel like that's my role in society, is just to share experiences. I'm not here to like tell people how to be healed. But I can't remember what it was called, but I'll DM it to you when I remember the article. There was like, I think there was like 10 different, I can't remember how many, but yeah, all I knew, you know, when it's like a horoscope, you just read yours. I was like, okay, that one's me. I'm a storyteller. I found my place in the world.
But I think when you can identify, you know, like you say, finding, and even though it's not like a healer, storytelling can be healing, you know, you're telling your story. And this is it. It's about having these conversations and just up about our experiences, our feelings, and just being real, really. Like,
I think that's it.
Things, it just can be quite what's real, what's not.
Yeah, there's a lot of fake shit on the internet. So
real place.
We're just not going to contribute to that.
But yeah, let's go back to Jordan.
Oh God, everyone was Jordan.
So where did you guys where did you meet?
We met on Tinder. Can you imagine?
Cute. No, I met yeah, I think the apps can be good. Like
Yeah, everyone puts them down, but I'm like, listen, you can meet some good people on there. You can meet some crazy people too, but you can meet some good people.
You just got to filter it out.
Yeah.
And how long have you guys been together?
Like just like 2 years and some change, just over 2 years. Yeah.
And I saw he was in lockdown together.
Yeah. I still haven't got rid of him from my lockdown.
What would you say?
We locked down together, and now like his house is being renovated, so
okay.
still here.
That's nice.
I'm not mad about it.
What would you say is like the secret ingredient?
It's actually really funny you asked me that, because we went to his parents' house the other day, and then his mum was saying that they're going to be their 30th anniversary of marriage, like next year. And I was like, am I supposed to ask you what's the secret? She was like, there's no secrets, everyone's different. I was like, I knew it. She was like, the secret is there's no secret. People are different. But no, I think the secret actually is communication, like you said earlier.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't talk about stuff, or if, like, you know, we've all been in relationships where like your partner pisses you off so much, and then you, instead of telling them, you tell your girlfriend, but then you don't talk to, like, all the things you say to your friends about the relationship, you can still do that and vent, but you should tell. Sorry, he's distracting me on the chat. Tolerance. Yeah, you need to tell the person these things and not just think them. So I think, communication's really been the one. I think we don't really fight. We probably have like every 6 months we'll have a big argument. But then the argument is like, we'll be like anger for like 20 minutes, and then we're like, right, let's actually talk about this. And then it normally has some like major breakthrough after that. So I think communication is like the thing that saves us.
It is the thing, isn't it? Like, just going back to communicating how you feel. I mean, you could write letters to each other. There's people who are struggling, like, communication, myself included, like in the past, like, you know, sometimes I've struggled, like, communicating how I'm actually feeling. And I feel like a lot of women do what you say, you know, like, go to their friends and be like, oh God, why is he doing this? Or why is this happening? And then not saying anything to the actual partner.
Because we'll have the argument with our partner, and then we'll talk about our feelings to our best friend, and it's like, that's good, you need to vent, but like all those little details, you need to tell them to the actual person as well. Yeah,
for it to actually go anywhere. And I think it's actually good to be vulnerable, to show your vulnerability, but I feel a lot of people don't want to be like showing their true feelings or showing that side.
Oh, no, I don't believe in any of that. I'll cry anywhere.
Well, it is good though to show. I feel, it's good to have that relationship where you can just be yourself and express yourself and talk about how you're feeling. And I think that is
definitely. And I think once you get into the habit of that, that's it. We do not date people that are not communicators around here.
That's good.
You can speak with them if you want to, but don't have relationships with them.
Yeah.
Who wants to live a life of question marks?
True. Leave on that question mark.
And the worst thing you can ever do to me is give me the silent treatment. Oh my God! Like, I'm the person in an argument, like, I will not leave the room until it's resolved. I can't. That's what I've had to learn as well, like, to step away for a minute, because I'm the person that normally just wants to, like, I'm not leaving this seat until everything's better.
You're good though. It sounds like you like communicate well, you know, like some people two people can be like in a relationship and feeling totally different things, but like communicating the opposite, and then they're going away like just, you know, it's actually something else that they're feeling, and they haven't.
Yeah. But I think when I was younger, I was like a real rager. I had like such a bad temper growing up, so I had to really like put a lot of work to control that. And I think that's why now I just say all my feelings all the time, because it stops me from being like mad.
A good way. It's good release. Oh, relationships, I think, is there anything else we want to cover before it's getting really dark? I
know, I might just go and turn my light on quickly. I was thinking that, but we were talking.
Away.
Is that better? Yeah. Okay,
yes. Is there anything else we want to cover? So we've obviously got the new book that's coming out, hopefully sometime next year.
Yes, it will.
Workshops coming hopefully once a month in real life.
Yes, we got one at the end of September. I think that's everything, really. Is there any more questions you wanted to ask? I don't know, I think
we've covered quite a lot there,
We've been talking for like an hour. That's gone so fast.
Is it? Oh, wow. Just like chatting to your mate, isn't it? Like, oh, and then you're like,
for real.
talk. But yeah, no, thank you so much for obviously coming online and having this conversation. And I think
anytime. Thanks
the
for
work
having me.
you're doing is so like inspiring, and yeah, I think opening up the conversation on things that people don't talk about is what it's all about, and having people, and then having, you know, other people have people they can relate to. So yes.
Yeah, but that's what you're doing too, you know, with your platform.
Yeah,
Keep doing it. Everything you're saying to me, say it to yourself.
Right back at you. But yeah, no, we'll have to obviously stay in touch and keep in track on your workshops, and maybe there's something else we can do. So
anything we can do, we're going to do it.
Yes. Yeah, no, I'll definitely be keeping an eye out on the poetry readings. Love them.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Bye.